Hey guys, Miss Farron here. So welcome to Unit 3, Notes 2. Today our learning target is I can add and subtract polynomials. So the first thing we're going to look at is adding polynomials. And when you're adding polynomials, I want you to think of this as just basically combining like terms. So the only difference is when we are combining like terms, we need to make sure that our final answer is in standard form. So we're in decreasing exponents. We start with that highest exponent and then we decrease down from there. So let's go ahead and look at these first two examples here. So example number 1, I have 3x squared plus 12 minus 7x plus 2x to the third minus 5 plus 4x plus 8x to the third minus 5x squared. So standard form says that we want the highest exponent first. So I'm always going to start with that one. So I have a positive 2x to the third and a positive 8x to the third. So 8 plus 2 gives me 10x to the third. Now I'm going to go down x squareds. I have a 3x squared and a negative 5x squared. So 3 minus 5 gives me a negative 2x squared. Next I'm going to look at my x's. I have a negative 7x and a positive 4x. So I'm going to have a negative 3x. And then last but not least is my constants. I have a positive 12 and a negative 5 gives me a positive 7. So now example number 2 is the same kind of idea. We want to start with the highest power and then just combine our like terms. So the highest exponent there for me is the 7x to the third, and that's my only x to the third, so I'm going to write those first. And I'm going to deal with my x squareds. I have a 3x squared and a negative 2x squared, so I get plus 1x squared. X's, I have a negative 7 plus a negative 9, so I get a negative 16x. And then last I have a positive 9 plus 11 gives me a plus 20. So both of these are in standard form and all of my like terms are combined. So there's two different ways or methods that we can use for adding polynomials. There's our horizontally or our vertically. So horizontally is, if we have them set up this way, we can go ahead and we can just combine our like terms basically. So I'd have 4x squareds and then plus 2x squared, so I'd get 6x squared. I'd have a positive 3x and a positive 2x, so I'd get a plus 5x. And then I would have a negative 2 and a positive 1, so I'd get a negative 1 and I'd be done. I like to do the vertical method. So you line up your polynomials by putting like terms into columns. So I want my x squareds on top of my x squareds, my x's on top of my x's, and my numbers on top of my numbers. And then since we're adding these, we're going to add them straight down. So I'd get 6x squared plus 5x minus 1. So either method is going to work just fine. I like the vertically method, again, because when we get into subtracting polynomials, it makes it a little bit easier for me. So for example number 3, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line them up vertically. So I need to put my x squareds under my x squareds, my x's under my x's, and my constants under my constants. So I'm going to move this whole guy underneath the first polynomial. So I have 3x squared. On the second one, I have a negative 7x squared. So now x's on top of x's, I have a plus 2x and then minus 5. So this is gone. And you have to remember we're adding these. So I have a 3 plus a negative 7 gives me a negative 4x squared. A negative 4 plus 2 gives me a negative 2x. And an 8 plus a negative 5 gives me plus 3. This would be my final answer because it is in standard form. Number 4, let's go ahead and use the horizontal method for this just so you can kind of see the difference. So again, this is adding, so we're just going to combine our like terms. I have a 5x squared and a negative 3x squared. So I get a 2x squared. I'd have a negative 3x and a positive 6x. So I get a plus 3x. And then I would have a positive 4 and a negative 3, so I'd have a plus 1. That would be my final answer and I'd be done. So now we're going to look at subtracting polynomials. To subtract polynomials, we want to distribute the negative to each term behind it before we do the exact same thing we just did. Okay, so each term behind the subtraction sign is going to be opposite, and then the subtraction will become addition. Let's look at this first example here. So this is a subtracting. So I want to go ahead and I'm going to make this an addition by distributing that negative to everything behind it and then changing it to a positive. So I'm still going to have a 4g to the third minus 5g. This is going to become a plus, and I'm going to subtract the other two behind it. So now I'm going to have a negative 2g to the third minus 4g. So from here, I can line up my terms. So I'm going to bring this second set of parentheses down below. So I'm going to do a negative 2g to the third minus 4g. And then I just have to add these. So a 4g to the third and a negative 2g to the third gives me a 2g to the third. A negative 5g and a negative 4g, when you add those, gives you a negative 9g. And that would be my final answer. So same thing for number 6. We're going to change this to an addition, and then the subtraction has to go to everything behind it. So I'm still going to have a 3n squared plus 13n to the third plus 5n plus a negative 7n minus 4n to the third. So I'm going to combine my like terms. We're going to do this one vertically, or horizontally, sorry. So we're going to look at my n's to the third. So I have a 13n to the third and a negative 4n to the third. So I'm going to get a 9n to the third. I'm going to look at my n squareds. I have a 3n squared. I don't have anything over on the other side, so I still have plus 3n squared. And I'm going to look at my n's. I have a positive 5n plus a negative 7n, which is going to give me a negative 2n. I'm in standard form, so I'm done. For number 7 and 8, I want you to go ahead and pause the video, try the subtraction on your own, because this one tends to be the hardest for most kids, and then come back and check your answers with what I got here. So here are the two answers I got. Be careful when you get to number 8. You want to make sure that you're written in standard form. And standard form tells me I have to have the highest exponent first. So I had to rewrite this so I had the x squared as my first term, and then decreasing from there. So my x to the 1 would be next, and then my y's would be after that. So if you have any questions on any of this, please come over and talk to me. Make sure you're checking your work with the key. It's so easy to make little mistakes on the subtraction problems.